Hey there, guys. Welcome, Happy New Year, and welcome to 2023.
Everybody, welcome to the Absolute Game of Nerds. Where, as Rohan said, we are in 2023, just a few days in, almost a full week, back to work, back to the grind, and here we are, slinging podcasts left and right as we
Yeah,
enter
we
the
got we got
year.
to finish up our 2022 recap.
Yep. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to get into the recap. Last week, we did a show on the books that we got for 2022 and started talking about books we want to get in 2023, but we did not get a chance to talk about the movies I think the movies we saw in 2022 and what we expect in 2023 movie wise and the
Yeah,
MCU
movies and
rundown.
shows. Movies and shows.
Yep. So, what I say we go ahead and do, we'll go ahead and get started with our review. And over time, we'll probably bring up some pictures of books that may have some, uh, some connection to the movies that are coming out. Which these are, again, this is not investment advice. We are collectors. I err on the side of investment too, but I definitely buy the books to enjoy. But I definitely want them to go up in price, as does
Yeah,
Rohan.
yeah,
But this is not
totally.
investment advice. There's a disclaimer. We have no idea how these books will react given past performance of many different cycles. So, with that in mind, I say we start off with the first movie slated for February 17th,
Oh wait, we got to
2020.
do the recap first of the
Oh,
movies.
okay, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead,
So
sir.
let's start. We're gonna start with our. We're gonna go bad to good. So we're gonna go with our top three most disappointed. Um, I'll say MCU, but I guess it's greater comic projects because I mean, of course, there were DC uh, uh, projects out there as well. So my number one disappointment would be Thor: Love and Thunder. I mean, it's not the worst movie, but like I just think when you have the Thor Ragnarok is one of the best MCU movies, and it completely turned around the Thor franchise, which was a sinking ship from after that second movie. And then it was just like they took everything good in Thor Ragnarok and then took a bunch of ecstasy and made the movie. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's Taika and whatever," and maybe that's true. And I've seen a few of his movies, but like I just felt it was too much, and just ended up being just not good, in my opinion. I was very disappointed.
Yeah, given I was back into the comic book collecting grind, I had speculated that that movie was going to show Hercules. And I very much anticipated that movie in general just because I thought it would kick off the cosmic, and it probably still will kick off the cosmic world of the MCU in a different light, or continue that like Guardians has and kicked off with some new characters, Hercules being one of them, maybe Nova, maybe Silver Surfer, maybe Doom. I had no idea. A lot of expectations, and that movie just did not live up to it, to what I expected, what I'd hoped for, given Ragnarok and the success of that movie. So I would put that as my number one as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I think too, and I mean, I feel like this is for a lot of I mean, maybe not just 2022, but just 2023. Like, it's kind of like you get a lot of chatter, and then the movie comes out, and it's like after week one, like there's no one talking about these movies. So I don't think I think everyone's definitely looking forward to Phase Five.
Yeah,
Um,
that was a disappointment overall.
Number two, I'm going with the Moon Knight show. I'm not a Moon Knight fan. I never read his comics. I just remember I have those Marvel cards. I have the series 1, 2, and 3, and Moon Knight had a card. So that's the only thing I ever knew about Moon Knight. That being said, I just thought the show was dumb. I mean, just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like the underworld floating boat with the talking pig, and I mean, I don't know if that's true to the comics. Or like that final fight scene with the crocodile god and the Khonshu god over like the Giza pyramids. It just looked awful. Yeah. And it's a shame too, because Oscar Isaac is like a freaking awesome A
Yeah, he's
plus kind of actor. And it's just like we used him and we anyway. I mean, if there was any good part of the show, it was probably honestly just watching him be the manic person himself in scenes, and also that for whatever it was 6 episodes, like Moon Knight himself was what in it 20 minutes max. Like
Yeah.
he was barely in it. Like there was multiple episodes where he wasn't in it at all.
Yeah, that disappointed me too. I don't have that on my list of disappointments. I look forward to that show as well, and it didn't live up to those expectations. But I enjoyed it. It might have. I think it came out early in the year, obviously around maybe springtime, so there was some time to watch the show, and I was anticipating better better footage coming out throughout the episode, and it never panned out. But I didn't hate it, but it definitely could have been better. I thought Moon Knight was a cool character. I still, to the life of me, don't understand why first appearance of Moon Knight in what is it, the werewolf?
Werewolf. I don't remember the number.
It's a $4,000 comic. I just don't get it. I
Oh, I mean, but that book is crashed.
It's crashed, but it's still like a couple $1,000s for
Yeah.
a decent grade. I'm like, man, there's so much other I'd rather buy than that book. And that's with a crappy movie. Now, if the movie got better or they did a crappy episode or series, maybe he comes into the MCU and things change. I don't know, but I still never thought him to be a primary character to have that kind of number. So
yeah, it's kind of funny. Like whenever I see Moon Knight books now too, like on Instagram or whatever, I just like scroll right past. Like I could not have less interest in the character.
I didn't mind him. I liked him. I liked Sleepwalker back in the day. He'd be cool if they brought him in somehow, but I just don't think that book commands that kind of money. And
Sleepwalker, I feel like, I mean, maybe years down the line, but he's too far out in the fringe for. They got bigger guys they got to use first.
Oh yeah. And Moon Knight wasn't somebody that they should have used early on, and that's probably a lot of why that disappointment. It could have been spent on a Silver Surfer show, which may be coming up, but it would have been nice to have something cooler in this 2022 year, because it was just overall an MCU bloodbath, in my opinion.
What do you got for 2?
Well, I'm going to go DC on this one and put Black Adam in there, and the only reason is because they fired Henry Cavill after the cameo that I went specifically to see. So I was so ticked off that and again, I don't mind the change of the universe and what James Gunn is going to do. I just don't like the fact they put the guy through the ringer like that. I read today that in 2018, I think the CEO of DC or of Warner Brothers said that this was in 2018 that they were going to find a new Henry Cavill, a new Superman, a new person to don the cape. So he wasn't expected to come back. So he went on to do The Witcher and other projects. And then they brought him back with this tease, and I went to see it specifically because the movie was okay. I thought Hawkman was awesome. I liked Dr. Fate, but just overall the movie was kind of out there. Not that this is a comic book world and things are out there anyway, but
from what I understand, it has been a box office flop. From what
they made money back on it, I guess, if you look at it in a certain what they spend and what they got back. But from my understanding is that they need to do triple the production budget or the box office budget or production budget, I guess, and they did not do that. And I'm sure The Rock's taken on the chin for his star power, but he pushed a movie that I don't think should have been. He should have been brought into Shazam early on because that's the connection, not Superman, right? So bring him in with Shazam and those movies and make the character and then bring him into his own movie, and then you can expand from there. But he really pushed, at least The Rock did, to get this to be a Superman, Black Adam, new DCU universe, and I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, The Rock definitely hyped. I mean, I again, when it comes to DC, I'm kind of just primarily Batman, Superman. And so I didn't really have any interest in watching. Plus, I just think DC has been pretty garbage. So I didn't have any hope for Black Adam. So I didn't have any desire to go see it. I still haven't seen it. And then like post movie, what The Rock was hyping up like fake numbers. Like, ugh.
Yeah, I thought I enjoyed the movie, but not extensively. And I saw it for that cameo, which I heard a week before. So had I not heard about a cameo, I might have waited to see it, except for opening day, until I heard on the internet or IG that he was in there. Superman was, but it was a lot of money to pay just to see him for 5 seconds, and then he got fired.
Yeah, and you could have looked that up on YouTube for free.
Yep. Yep, save myself the money. That's the biggest part of what ticked me off about Thor: Love and Thunder, is it my whole family went. I got 4 kids and my wife, and I spent almost $100 to see that stupid movie. And to this day, I don't want to go back to another movie. I'd rather wait till it comes out on Disney Plus because it's
Yeah,
wasted
I
dollars.
mean, I would not be opposed, like, if Marvel came up with a deal like DC has with HBO, where it's like movie and um, stream are fairly close, if not on the same day. Like, because of I mean, like, granted, I have 3 kids, but they're young, so I'm not taking the news. But like, when that time comes, like, taking a family of 5 now to a movie is it's
You gotta
crazy.
go to a matinee plus popcorn. I was mad because I really expect a lot out of it, and it didn't come.
My number 3. Now, I think the show is fine, and I even enjoyed a few of the episodes. I know you're gonna go to town on this. I definitely don't feel as strongly as you do. The reason why it's on my top 3 is because of the expectations I had for it, and it's She-Hulk. Just because I was really excited for She-Hulk in the sense that she was a legit member of the Avengers that hadn't been used yet. The trailer showed the Hulk was going to be involved, so I just saw this big. Because one of my biggest complaints with like a lot of the shows, it's just like I feel like they don't go all in on. They just use these kind of like secondary characters with some BS villains, and they kind of just like, oh, here's blah blah blah. It's like there's no real stakes there. So I just thought, like, with the Hulk being involved and She-Hulk's going to be in the Avengers moving forward, I was like, oh man, maybe the stakes are going to be high. And then to be honest, like the first episode, like was awesome, and it just like hit. I was like, yes, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I want. And then from there, it was just kind of like it just kind of meandered for like a bunch of episodes that just had like no point, no meaning. And then like at the end, they had some decent episodes. It just like it was fine. I just, because my expectations were set so high, it was a big letdown for me.
Yeah, that's what, like I said before, Thor: Love and Thunder was a letdown. Black Adam, that cameo is a letdown. She-Hulk, I didn't have a whole lot of expectations, but I had heard that Daredevil would be in it. It would be a courtroom drama. I like Boston Legal from years ago. That was a cool show. I kind of imagined it being that type of a setup in the courtroom. Some of the leader I thought was supposed to be brought in somehow. So you have the Hulk, potentially the leader, Daredevil, courtroom stuff.
They also like really played up like a Hulk Abomination like battle, and that really wasn't.
Yeah, then the minute he was, like some cuddly bear, I thought, oh my gosh, another villain that they turned good in the Marvel world. And then again at the end, it got crazy at the end because that idiot guy who I forget his name now, who was trying to get with Jen, or he was the rich guy, which I thought was going to have a tie into to Doom, and he still may. But then he took the serum. He looked like the guy from Saturday Night Live. Do you remember the guy from the AT&T commercials that moved to SNL for a short period of time? Beck, I think is his name.
I don't know that one. I was thinking of like Hans and Franz.
He looked like Beck, but bloated.
Okay.
As the Hulk, and I was like, is that Beck? Did they get him to fulfill in the stunts or something? Like, if you look him up, he was on AT&T commercials before they got him on SNL. But anyway, so that last episode just went all over the place, and then we went and saw Kevin, the video camera version of Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige, yeah.
And I was like, okay, and it was kind of cool, fourth dimension stuff that Deadpool's done in his first 2 movies is always neat and funny. It was a funny movie, but it really didn't go anywhere, or didn't really set the tone for, taking her seriously. And even Daredevil, I'm like I like Daredevil a lot, and the Charlie Cox Netflix series is great. Second season of that finally. But
I did enjoy Daredevil in it. I mean, it's more like, I thought he had some cool fight scenes, and he had a bit of a comedic relief kind of role, and so I didn't mind. Like the
he didn't seem as dark.
No, he definitely wasn't, right? It was definitely a more campy, and like the walk of shame scene of him in his costume, I thought was hilarious. So like,
it is
I enjoyed
why did he put his shoes on? Put his shoes on, man. I'm like, just look weird. I don't know. I mean, some of the stuff was funny, but to me, it was a huge letdown. That last episode, it just was all over the place, like I was saying. And then the end, we're gonna get Scar. Throw that in because there was some talk of where did the Hulk go, and
Yeah.
what would happen to Sakar and all this and that. And then his kid shows up with a stupid haircut that looked nothing.
Everybody hated that haircut.
And I was like, "What are you doing? Like, it's pretty clear how he's supposed to look, and he's supposed to be some from I don't know. I don't read World War Hulk, but I have some of the books, and he got the straggly hair and looks mean, and he's there sitting there like a tame Hulk with a stupid haircut. So
Hey, I mean,
maybe,
some of these kids these days got stupid haircuts.
well, maybe someone makes fun of his haircut and he goes crazy and beats
Yeah.
someone up. I don't know, but I didn't like. I hated the scene of her twerking. And the reason I hate it,
everyone like continually comes back to that. I have no issue with the twerking.
I have no issue with who was the
Megan Thee
rapper
Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion. No problem there. No problem with Jen, the non-Hulk, doing the twerking. That would have been cool to watch. But she looked like a weird avatar, a green avatar. It just didn't look right.
That's kind of like what she does look like. So
yeah, but I mean, just the way her pants fit, I was like, doesn't look right. Get somebody else to do the twerking, and I would have watched it. It had nothing. I don't care about the twerking part of it. Just how the animation looked, I thought was bad.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was my issue with it. But yeah.
What's your number 3 and final disappointing?
Oh, that was it. She-Hulk.
Oh, okay.
I had to add to what you were saying there because I have it at the end there. Again, it wasn't. It just was so, like you said, parts of it were so stupid that it didn't live up to what I'd hoped to bring in. Again, if you're going to get rid of the Hulk, you need somebody strong, right? Part of my issue with the new Thunderbolts movie coming out is you have a bunch of super soldiers and no tough guy, no huge thing, Hulk, She-Hulk, Son of Hulk, whoever in that group. And maybe General Ross is going to represent that. But initially, all you
Red
see
Hulk or something.
Those super soldiers. And I don't know how you save the world with super soldiers in a world with Hulks. So
yeah,
I thought they were going to bring her in to take over in a spot at the Avengers and really be.
I mean, I still think they may be building towards like a West Coast Avengers now that they have her and, Vision's back and Hawkeye, and then they're going to do a Wonder Man show or movie at some point. So
yeah, and I don't know what what the point of the series was because it didn't move the needle on She-Hulk at all. That's why I put it at 3. It just didn't move the needle. It was enjoyable to watch, but this whole phase 4 just was.
Yeah, it kind of just fell back in with that kind of format. It says like there was really no stakes involved with that show.
Yeah, it did. Again, phase 1 of Marvel set up what we had at the end of phase 3.
Yeah.
But I can go back and watch just about any of those movies again and enjoy it. I probably won't go back to most of these to rewatch them.
No.
I know you got to set up the universe, but it's got to be done right. And I don't know what they missed. Can't always hit home runs. You can't always do that.
Yeah.
So.
All right, let's go about best in 2022. Why don't you start us off with your number 1?
My number 1.
Or actually, should we start with number 3?
Let's start with number 3.
Yeah.
Number 3 for me is Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I look forward to that one as much as I did Thor. Did it come out before Thor?
It was before Thor.
Thor's. So I had an anticipation for that, and then Thor as well. And Thor fell short because it built up from the Multiverse of Madness. I love Sam Raimi. I was a big fan of Army of Darkness. It was, the zombies always kind of looked ridiculous, but that's how Sam Raimi did him in Army of Darkness. So I was okay with that. I like seeing Wanda becoming the villain. Overall, I just thought it was a fun movie to watch. I thought it moved things forward with the multiverse. I loved going through as he was flying through the different multiverses, the one made of crayon, the one made of color, sound, whatever it was. I thought that was a cool take on that. I didn't really care for America Chavez, but again, new Young Avengers. I'm cool if they're not the focus, but they're the part of it to introduce to bring in later.
Yeah, she's a newer character that I really don't know much about. I liked Multiverse of Madness as well. I actually thought it was even better on rewatch. My only 2 complaints would be, I am such a huge Fantastic Four fan and such a huge X-Men fan. So I got pumped when I saw Mr. Fantastic and Professor X, and then it was just they took your dream and they crushed it right away. And so that was I was like, oh. Yeah, the moment they said you're at the Baxter Building, I was like, oh, and so that got squashed real quick. And obviously they're gonna come back into some other form, but I was just saying that kind of bummed me out. And then 2, I would say, I just felt like she was a little too. I don't know Scarlet Witch that well, so like maybe she is that powerful, but like
She is.
But like it was just weird. It was just like she was like unopposable. So
It's like Jean Grey as Phoenix.
As Phoenix, yeah, I guess so. If that's true, this story, then that's cool. But I was just the only thing I was like, man, this is unfair. But yeah, I enjoyed Multiverse of Madness, especially on rewatch.
And given those scenes you said at the Baxter Building, I really enjoyed those. Was kind of ticked. They killed them all off so easily because they're supposed to be such, tough characters and strong characters, and that was okay. It made it fun. How are they going to bring these people back in our universe, and hearing the song for the X-Men was cool.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
So I mean, overall, it was early in the year, and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is a good start to the episode, to season 2. What do you call it?
Phase 4.
Phase 4. Yep.
Yeah. But again, another one I would say, like once it came out, and then it was out, and then like kind of got quiet.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't world changing.
Yeah. So my number 3 is Miss Marvel, the show, which I thought was great. Like I do think, like, again, I really don't know the Kamala Khan Miss Marvel, as that's more of a modern character when I haven't read. But what I liked is, I mean, I obviously I'm a person of color, of Indian ethnicity. They were Pakistani, but that, like, all those episodes where you just saw her and her family, and like her dealing with the fact that her parents immigrated and she's first generation here, and that was literally like my life, right? That, like, I relate to that so much, and I think that's what draws so many people to. And I find this specifically to Marvel comics. I think why I find Marvel more popular than DC is, like, DC characters are always almost like god level kind of. Batman obviously has any powers, but like they're all, the villains and the superheroes are all kind of like god tier level people. Whereas like in Marvel, you have so many relatable characters that have these experiences that you deal with, whether it's Peter Parker and going through things in high school, or like I just said with Miss Marvel and her family that is immigrated here to the U.S. So that really like connected with me. So I really enjoyed the show. As far as like the villains and the action, it was fine, but I just enjoyed the overall just because of what I just mentioned.
Yeah, I thought I enjoyed that show. It was funny. I think my favorite scene was when the dad came out painted like the Hulk.
Yeah.
Like head to toe. I thought that was great. It was hilarious. Yeah. But I did enjoy the show. I mean, it didn't really move the needle again in the universe.
They did. It was the first introduction of mutants, right? They ended it with that little teaser.
They do that, but she's not. Is she supposed to be a mutant?
So in the comic books, she is not. She's an Inhuman, I believe. But they've obviously clearly made her a mutant for purposes of the MCU.
So then the Inhumans are supposed to be mutants as well, and I guess I don't like them. They changed some things, but they've been doing it since the Marvel MCU started.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, they kind of threw that in there and didn't really clarify it. And She-Hulk had some references with Wolverine too, guy in the bar with so they put some of that stuff in there
and set it up. Makeup in her fingers. And...
Yeah. And so I guess it did move the needle in that regard, but I just, as a character, it was a fun show. For me. So
what do you got at 2?
Number 2, I'm going to go DC Universe with The Batman. I thought that was a little long for a Batman movie. I think all the Nolan movies were long too. But this one was cool. The Riddler. I love the crazy villains. And that's one thing that our DC does much better than Marvel. Makes them nuts. I mean, the way Heath Ledger did the Joker epitomized that time in the world, 2008, when things were crazy. And I think it was just, he portrayed him so well. And the Riddler in this movie was nuts, crazy.
The take on the Riddler I thought was awesome. And I have a lot of thoughts on Batman. It's going to come up for me, so I'll hold off a little bit. But yeah, I really enjoyed the Batman as well.
Yep.
And I thought when I first heard that Robert Pattinson was cast as Batman, I was like, this guy, he's too pretty. Like, his face is too clean. Like, I can't see him getting punched. But then you watch him in the movie, and I thought he was awesome. I mean, like, there were scenes where, like, he's got that jawline that you talk about with Batman. And there were, like, scenes where, like, he'd be looking at the camera, and it was like, I feel like that could be drawn. Like, like, it was like that kind of perfect for it. So I was a big fan of him as Batman.
Yeah, and who played the Penguin?
Colin Farrell
Colin
was
Farrell.
awesome.
Yeah, he does a great job. I remember when he came on scene some years back, and I thought, oh, he's a pretty boy, but he can play just about anybody.
Yeah,
He
I mean,
can gain the weight, lose the weight. He's awesome. He did a great job.
interested to see what that Penguin show that is going to come out on HBO is going to be like because it's going to be him. So,
Yeah, he did. I thought that was a great part of it. That car scene, I think.
oh yeah, the car scene was dope. Like through the fire, like yeah,
Yeah,
it was dope.
yeah. Overall, great movie. The ending kind of lulled out a little bit. Kind of got long, but I look back and I watched The Dark Knight. It's so many ups and downs in that movie.
Yeah,
It just keeps going and going until the end. And this movie was similar.
yeah,
I wasn't happy about Pattinson, but I think he did a good job. And I just don't know now how that all was going to translate into the James Gunn universe. That's what
yeah.
all
I don't
this
know.
money wasted on seeing these movies in DC. I don't know how that pans out
Yeah, I don't know if
next
it's.
year.
I don't know if it's going to be just like kind of a separate thing, and there's going to be a different Batman in the James Gunn universe. I have no idea.
Or you got the Joker coming out.
And is that
You
also
know,
going to be? Is that
that's
a
separate.
separate universe too?
Yeah.
And I'll
So
tell you what.
it's
I mean, the Joker was a phenomenal movie, and
yeah,
Heath
but the new one's
Ledger.
going to be a musical with
No,
Lady Gaga.
I think it's going to be great. I think she'll kill it for
Oh,
Harley Quinn.
she does a great job, but I just don't see it as a musical. I like the Heath Ledger craziness that he played, and the
I mean, as
Joker show was
Heath
getting there, but
Heath Ledger, best Joker, right? I mean, Jack Nicholson was a great Joker, but I think Joaquin Phoenix is right in line, which is another actor that killed the Joker role. Like, I'm not a good uh, person to like judge like great acting, good acting, whatever. But like Joaquin Phoenix in that movie, like lights the screen on fire, and
oh,
he's incredible.
he did it well. I just the I don't know way Heath Ledger did it. Just he Agent of Chaos, and it just you had nothing on him that he had
Yeah,
nothing to lose, and that's the
yeah,
scariest person in the world is someone who has nothing to lose.
yeah.
And maybe they'll get to it, but you bring in Lady Gaga, who's supposed to play
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn. It's another iteration of that, and again, those two actors are great, but I don't want a musical. I just want that's all.
Yeah, we'll see. My number 2 is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Also, a very long movie, but I don't mind the long movies as long as they're good. And I thought it was really good. I will say, like, I thought, even though I liked the character of Ironheart Riri Williams, like, I thought she was very rather unnecessary. It was just kind of like they needed to, like, we need to figure out where we can fit her in somewhere so we can introduce her before her show.
Almost like
And then,
America Chavez.
yeah, exactly. And they just kind of like, if you took her out of it, like, the movie would have been exactly the same.
Yep.
But otherwise, I thought it was. I really enjoyed Black Panther from Wakanda Forever. I'm actually looking forward to it to come on Disney Plus so I can rewatch it. But I mean, like, especially to like the curveball of Chadwick Boseman dying. I mean, to then like have these plans for these movies and then like him die, which is obviously sad and unfortunate. To then go around and like rewrite and resculpt what's going to happen, I thought you couldn't have asked for a better movie in that
Storyline.
sense. Yeah, storyline. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I don't know what their intents were, but I didn't love that movie. I look forward to seeing Namor in it, or Namor, however you pronounce in the show. I was looking forward to seeing him finally in the MCU. He was a character I didn't care for back in my early days of collecting, but as it started to build up, and you need that strong character because if the Hulk's gone on Sakaar or She-Hulk can't fill in, or you don't have the Thing yet, you need someone powerful like him. And I thought it was awesome to see him.
Yeah,
And he
he was
did it
great.
well.
Namor
And
was great.
I don't mind the retrofitting, or what do they call that? Retconning his backstory. I thought that was a cool way to involve another culture that is a real culture and not just like Black Panther. That the cultures how they set that up, I thought was neat. Using him as a Atlantean would have set it up too much like Aquaman, and I thought it was cool how they did it.
Great. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Namor was awesome in that movie. So what you got? Top choice.
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker. All
I
right.
love that show. That was my favorite show of 2022, and probably for a long time. I thought John Cena killed it. I laughed so hard on those every episode. It was so campy and stupid, but funny. And that Suicide Squad movie was great, and this just continued it. And I look forward to season 2. I thought it was great.
I didn't watch it. just because again back on with like my DC has just been trash kind of mindset. But everyone tells me Peacemaker's great, so at some point I got to go back and watch it. And like you just said,
Go back and watch it. You didn't watch it at all, right?
I didn't watch it at all.
Okay.
And then you said you like the Suicide Squad 2. Like I didn't even waste my time. Or I should say, in my head, I was like, I didn't waste my time with it because I thought Suicide Squad 1 was so awful. But then everyone says like, oh, Gunn did well with Suicide Squad 2, so I should give it a chance.
I definitely I would watch both of those. It's good. That's what I liked about the Suicide Squad and how James Gunn may be doing the new universe is how Marvel Comics, the MCU, started out with the characters they didn't own: Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America, who were big. They call them the trilogy, or what is it? What they call them? They're the triangle, the three main. They really weren't in our day and age, but I guess they're the three biggest characters in Marvel that they had left. And Spider-Man, Wolverine, who else would be there? I mean,
Fantastic Four was at Fox as well.
Yeah, I mean, they got rid of all their main. All they had left was the Avengers, and I never collected the Avengers, and it took off like that without Spider-Man, without Wolverine, without the X-Men, and that was the main draw back in the '90s, and that's where those movies, early 2000 movies came from.
Yeah.
And Marvel said, "What do we got left?" And I brought them out, and it was great. So can James Gunn do that with Peacemaker, an unheard of character, bringing in someone like who's Margot Robbie play, Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn.
You got Bloodsport was in there. I mean, a bunch. I mean, it was great, and you got to watch it. It just was a good movie, a good way to bring people in and build a universe with those low end characters, B-level characters that can become huge draws.
All right, yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
Because, like you said earlier, everyone up here is Superman, gods, whatnot, and you got Peacemaker, and all that group that can really be relatable in some way. So
yeah, my choice was your number 2 was the Batman. I loved it. Now, I will caveat that I don't know if it's ever going to be able to be beaten. I don't know if you could beat the Dark Knight trilogy with Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale. Like those 3 movies I love. I literally watch those all the time, and I just love them. That being said, for taking another take at it, I'm all in. I thought it was great. I do think it got a little long in the tooth, especially like that whole like arena scene with the flood. Like you probably honestly could have ended the movie at the like scene in the jail where he was talking to the Riddler, and kind of cut it somewhere after that, and it would have been great. But even just like that, the first half of that movie especially is just like, oh yes, this is awesome.
Yep, it was a good movie. It was a tough call between Peacemaker and Batman, but Peacemaker just went up there, and same for you. But you didn't see Peacemaker. You got to watch it, then maybe you'll change your mind.
Yeah, I will add my bonus, which is not comic book related, but I loved Avatar: Way of the Water. I loved it.
Terrible movie. You
didn't even see it.
No, I know.
All right, let's move on to 2023. We're already a half hour in, so let's run through these. So first one coming out February 17th, Ant-Man, the Wasp, Quantumania. First off, did you like Ant-Man 1 and 2? Ant-Man and then Ant-Man and the Wasp?
I did. I liked them both.
Yeah, I thought they were fun movies, like kind of like they didn't have the intensity of the other MCU movies, and I heard someone like describe them as like a palate cleanser to kind of just like take it easy and just like, hey, just relax and enjoy this one. And for that aspect, they were good. So yeah, I enjoyed Ant-Man 1 and 2. It seems like that, but they're taking 3 on a more legit, like this is a movie that's going to move the needle forward point.
I would agree. And let me grab something.
Where'd he go? But so what I'm going to do, I'm going to load up some slides. Oh, actually, I'm waiting for JP. See what he's got. What do you got?
Sorry about that. But here is one item we can show for spec for Ant-Man 3. Can you see it? The Micronauts #1. This may come into play in this movie. I've heard some spec on that one. I picked this up at the antique store recently, but I don't have much when it comes to Ant-Man comics. I'd love to get Marvel Premiere 47, but that's about the only book I have spec-wise for that movie. But I am looking forward to it because I think it's going to take the whole Kang universe, bringing him in and seeing more of him, because I really didn't. When he was in Loki, the end of it, I was like, who's this guy supposed to be? And then they tell you, and I'm like, that's not how he's supposed to look. He didn't have the purple draw on any of that kind of stuff. So now that he's going to be Kang, as Kang we know him, I'm looking forward to it. So I think this movie is it better set things off, and not, I hope we don't come out of that and say another movie to just let us down.
Yeah. We should note too, like when it comes to speculation for what we know in 2023, everything that we know, if you are looking to get that now, you've kind of missed the speculation bubble, right? Speculating is like taking shots at who you think is going to be in upcoming projects, and then you get them cheap, right? And then you hear like, oh, so-and-so's going to be the villain. Bam, I got that first appearance, and then it blows up, right? We already know Kang is going to be in it, right? So everyone knows Avengers 8, right, which will load up here, is going to be in, let me get to it, right? Avengers 8, first appearance of Kang. I will say this is one book of the movies that are involved in 2023. This is one that is on my list, right? It's not a high priority, immediate priority. This is one I hope to acquire down the line. Just a great early Avengers key that I think is a classic. You have any desires for this one?
I like to get it. I think it's become overpriced given what's going to happen. Like you said, I think I missed a boat on it, but it may drop off after the movie. You got Iron Man 55, which is Thanos.
Yep.
And the villains don't seem to have staying power. They're still golden. They're still keys because they're Silver Age Avengers or Iron Man shows. But I just think sometimes what happens with MCU villains, I don't think the staying power is there. So you're better off to wait and get it at a good price.
And that's why it's not an immediate thing. Like, I don't want this for movie purposes. I want this just because, like, early Avengers, huge villain, first appearance, Silver Age, kind of ticks my box for what I'm looking for in my collection.
Yep.
I will note there are two other books that are kind of related. They are related. And that will be Fantastic Four number 19, which is the first appearance of Ramatut, which is a version of Kang. And then Avengers 10, which is the first appearance of Immortus, who's right there on the cover as well. Another variant of Kang. So both of these books you've seen also go up as well. Again, both of those, it's hard to go wrong with, right? Early Avengers, early Fantastic Four, Silver Age, like they're always going to be desirable to some level. Again, though, like you kind of missed the boat if you haven't got them already, but something to think about if you're a big Kang fan. Those are kind of the three big Kang books, I would think.
Yeah, this is one thing I don't know. Again, I've said I don't read comics. I'm more into the artwork. I'd like to read more of them, but knowing that there's all these different versions of Kang, Ramatut, Mortis, and Kang, it's just like Thanos was easy,
Yeah.
But now it's going to be these variants, which can help these movies out tremendously to have different versions of them.
Yeah. Next up, we have What If Season 2. Am I excited for it? I mean, sure, I didn't watch all of Season 1, to be honest. The few I watched, I enjoyed, and, I'll check out a few, I'm sure, but, like, it's not anything I'm, like, super drawn to. You have any thoughts on that?
I liked Season 1. It was cool. I like that they use the big thing I was watching for is using the same voices of the people that played them in the real movies, and they didn't use Peter Parker. They didn't use Tony Stark, but Thor was used, which was great. I think Captain Carter.
Yeah.
I
think Chris a lot Evans. Of the other ones were. Hawkeye was, I think, and
I don't think Chris Evans used his when he. Oh, okay. I'm not sure though, but I like that the majority of them were their voices from the live action. So it was just fun to watch. I never put much bearing in cartoons to have any connectivity to the movies itself.
Yeah. There's no real books of interest I would mention with this one. Moving on, Secret Invasion, which is set for early. On the shows, they don't give us dates, so this is early 2023 as well. I don't know. So I think this is based on the newer, more modern comic book Secret Invasion, which I have not read and I don't really know much about. I will say one thing that is exciting, at least from like the trailers we've gotten, it gives us kind of like a spy thriller espionage type feel to it, which is something they haven't done in the MCU. So that looks like it could have some appeal and could be good. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking that out.
Yeah, I might be easy to find the New Avengers, Secret Invasion. There's a couple key books in that New Avengers run from I think 2005 that you might be able to grab for 20 or $30 just to have in case this movie, this season, this series does well. But besides that, what'd you say, the Super Scroll book?
Yeah. There is one I would say which is Fantastic Four 18. Well, I should say Fantastic Four 2 is the first appearance of the Scrolls. That's always going to be a huge high dollar book, right? It's the second Fantastic Four, right?
Yeah.
This one's still early Fantastic Four, still Silver Age. Was the first appearance of Super Skrull on the cover. This book has gone up a little bit. It's not like crazy expensive. I think you can get a decent copy for a couple $100. Not one on my list of targets to get, but I know it is a popular one, and people are into. Especially if you're a Fantastic Four one, like it's another. I mean, Fantastic Four, like kind of 1 to 100, it's like you almost can't go wrong. There's so many big first appearances and events, so it's just, they're all great. Like it's a great run. One of the best there's been.
Yep.
The next one would be the one that I'm most excited about, which would be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And that has a release date of May 5th, 2023. My thoughts on the first two. Guardians of the Galaxy 1, I mean, home run, right? Like for a movie when it came out, I was like, who the hell are the Guardians of the Galaxy? I don't know anything about these guys. I didn't know James Gunn at the time, and I walked out of that movie theater. I was like, that movie was freaking awesome. Like that was so awesome. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, bit of a letdown. Not that great. What do you think?
I would agree. I mean, it's almost like Thor Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, but not as huge of a drop off. I mean, both guys hit it out of the park with that first installment, directing the character, even though it was the second Thor movie, but still it took it to different levels. Same with Guardians. It took a bunch of who knows who these people are.
Yeah, it made him big.
And I think that's what James Gunn's been great at doing, and that's what DC needs. And I think going forward for MCU, it's the same thing. There's a lot of great characters out there to use. So.
Yeah. As far as books are concerned, I really don't think there's much here to be looked at. I mean, if you even look at the first appearance of the Guardians of the Galaxy, it's no one that's in the movie, right? Like they've had multiple rosters run through. So,
2 thoughts. I don't know if you can see it.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Nova 1, you probably have the Adam Warlock, Warlock 1, that Thor.
Oh yeah, and Warlock. I totally spaced on Warlock.
Yeah, so Thor, whatever number that is, when it's the first appearance of him.
Yeah, I think that's 65.
Yeah, so that's a good book to have, given who's playing the role. Who's playing?
Will Poulter.
Yeah.
Poulter. Yeah.
I wouldn't put him as Warlock, but we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to see how they do that one. I think Nova definitely could be in here at some point, just as a possibility to tease him for down the road, because I think James Gunn did mention he was supposed to be in the second Guardians.
Yeah.
And another one that I don't think anyone thinks of that could be in Guardians is going to be Darkhawk.
I think I've heard people talk it. I think it's a stretch. I wouldn't count on it, but I mean, that's a cheap book. Like you can go get that book for $10.
I paid $1,000 for this book. I'm hoping big time.
Yeah. Oh, I guess another one we spaced on too is Thor 234, which is the first appearance of High Evolutionary.
Yep.
Again, though, like you said with the villain books, right? Like it's kind of you can get it for a couple $100, but like wait till this movie's over and like guarantee you can get that book for probably $100.
I think the Rocket Raccoon book, which is his first appearance, isn't in comic form; it's in a book form or magazine form. I had that Hulk 271. It's a cool book, but I'm not a Rocket fan in the comics. But in the show, I think he does. I think it's
he's a great character in the show.
But him and Drax, I think, probably may die in this show.
Well, I mean, the guy that plays Drax already came out and said he's done with Drax after this movie. So I am definitely expecting some deaths. I don't think it'd be Rocket. I could see Rocket being utilized as a key character continuing on, but I think Drax and honestly, so I'll throw maybe even Star-Lord goes in this one.
And then there might be a whole new Guardians crew, and I think that's going to entail possibly Nova, because there's a storyline called Annihilation that has a lot of Guardian tie-ins, but a new team. So
yeah.
But I think this is the show I'm definitely looking most forward to in 2023.
Yeah, I would agree. It'd be my top. I love Adam Warlock. I can't believe I forgot to mention when he started. So I'm really interested to see where they go with Warlock, because it's kind of crazy to think that if you read the Infinity Gauntlet series, like Warlock is
He was the main guy.
He's the main guy, right? So like, especially
And
when
they
they
didn't use him.
teased him in Guardians 2, and then they didn't do anything with him for the Infinity Gauntlet or Infinity War, and then Endgame was kind of surprising. But you know, those movies are obviously awesome, so I'm not going to complain. So but it's just interesting to see like where they'll go with Warlock from here. Maybe it is a new Guardians team that he leads up or something like that.
And
so.
he's not a part of the Secret Wars either. I don't think, to my understanding, he's not.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if he
Right, he probably will be retconned into it, but the original storylines from both the '84 and the 2015,
yeah,
he's not part of it.
All right, next one. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. The first one is awesome. I mean, I think especially from an animated movie, this was a huge hit. So I think this second one will also be is expected to be huge.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I'm hoping it moves the needle. I just picked up an Ultimate Fallout 4 first print, so I'm hoping it moves the needle in that book because it definitely has come down significantly.
Yeah.
In 2022, I think I got it for a good price. I've heard things out there that Miles Morales does not drive Spider-Man like Peter Parker did. I don't know if that's true. I think if this movie is successful and does well, I think you can have both of them be pretty successful and have draws. But they've redone the Miles storyline so many times or new volumes to change things up that I don't know why Marvel does it. It must not be successful sales-wise.
I mean, I don't know, but I feel like Miles ain't going anywhere, and it's only a matter of time before they bring him into a live-action movie.
I think that's going to be. He's done well movie-wise. I think he'll do well in the live action, and that might change, how he's viewed in comic book sales. But I think he's definitely a hit with the kids and new generation.
I will say for those that would be interested in Ultimate Fallout 4, as JP mentioned, it is a book that has come down significantly. So this picture here is the first print of the first appearance of Miles Morales, and if you get it in 9.8, it used to be an almost $4,000 book. Now you can get it for about $1,800, right? And then you go down to a 9.6, which JP has, and you're under $1,000. But if you're going to go after Ultimate Fallout 4, know the various print runs, right? So you have this is the first print where his face is hidden behind the trade dress. That's kind of like the main money book. The second print is where you actually see it's the same exact thing, but you see his face, right? So it's not behind the trade dress. That's worth a 20th of first print.
Yep.
Right. And then there's the Jerkin variant or whatever, and which is this thing here. And I saw this today. 9.8, $38,000. Get the hell out of here. I don't know. And people buy it at this price, and I don't. Maybe it's a hard to find variant or what. I just don't. I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, if you're paying $38,000 for a modern comic book, you are out of your mind.
Well, I started off my career reinvesting this year. My career reinvesting, going through long boxes at flea markets, antique stores, and I thought for sure I would find these. I was hoping to find Ultimate Fallout 4. Not that I had a huge draw for Miles until the movie came out. I guess I didn't see the movie till this year, or late last year. So I wasn't into it until now. And so I was hoping to find it because I thought it'd be easy. And this one definitely must be so.
And there's also there's a few different variations of this one. There's a virgin one, and then there's some small differences. They've made some reprints of it, and those are worth nothing.
Yeah, and
not $38,000.
I just couldn't believe it. If I had $38,000 to spend on a comic book, it would not be that one. But
yeah, and Ultimate Fallout 4. Actually, talking about selling power, Shortbox, which is an app that you can buy comic books on. They did their top selling books for 2022. Number one was Ultimate Fallout 4 first print, which was the previous one we showed here. But again, if you are someone that wants Ultimate Fallout 4, make sure you research what is what. Right, because there are with any modern comic these days, there's 92 different variants, and some are worth a lot, some aren't worth that much.
Yep.
So don't get fooled paying first print prices for a second print book.
Yep, and I would have known that early on.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have known that. When I first heard about Ultimate Fallout, I would have thought the second print was as valuable as the first, and then nope. The other book that would be of big significance and so Ultimate Fallout 4 is considered one of the top, if not the top modern book. And then the second one would be Edge of Spider-Verse 2. This is another book, if you got it in 9.8, this is, $2,000, $1,200 maybe now, actually. So not a book that you're going to beat the boat on, right? Everyone already knows this is worth a lot. She's a popular character. She's not going anywhere. A good one to have if you have it. Again, though, with modern books, right, there's multiple variants. I know there's like another print that has like different colors, and I don't even know which one's what. I know the first print, 9.8, is like 1,200 or something right now.
Yep, I thought I would find this one too in the long boxes because it's a newer book and it should be there somewhere. And to go back to Ultimate Fallout, they said that there's almost like I heard on a YouTube video that there's almost 7 or 10 a day getting graded. So they're bringing them out, so that's probably not going to help that out. But I think the movie will definitely help these two books out. But there's probably way more of these than we really realize.
Yeah.
But
anyways, let's move on. Next one I got is Echo, mid 2023. Perfectly honest, I don't really care. New modern character. Didn't really care for her in the Hawkeye show. Will I watch it? Probably, but like I don't have any attachment to it.
Yeah, I didn't even know who the character was in the Hawkeye run, and then when I realized they're going to make another series out of it, I thought there's better other shows that they could be making besides that. So
yeah, I do think, and again, this isn't wrong, but the diversity push is very big, especially in the MCU, I think, because obviously in the 60s, everyone's white, right? That's not how the real world is. And so I think they're trying to expand diversification-wise as much as possible. So that's why someone like America Chavez or Echo gets moved up to the forefront. And that's great in some aspects, but then a lot of times it's like for people like us who've been fans for so long, it's like, who is this? Why do I care? Right. So
yeah,
we don't need to get into the whole politics of all that, but that's just bringing that up. Next one, Loki season 2. I thought Loki season 1. Oh, sorry, I should have mentioned. Back to Edge of the Spider-Verse. If there's another book you want to look at, it's this one, Amazing Spider-Man 31. This is the first appearance of Gwen Stacy and actually the first appearance of Harry Osborn.
Well, there's 2 other books I'll bring up for that one too that I forgot.
Yeah.
One is The Spot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Great,
first villain.
Great cover. This is, I don't know if this is the first appearance of Spot. It was in
that's
97 and 98.
Yeah,
but first cover, just a cool book because it's yellow. It pops just like that. Spider-Man was at 31.
Yep.
And then another one is going to be Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah.
For that first appearance, whether you figure it's Amazing Spider-Man 365
with the hologram,
or 299 number 1, and then this is a debate we can have another day. But this is Web of Spider-Man 118. I don't know if anyone can see that.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to bring that up. I will say, if you are looking to like make some margin on some books, your best case is probably going to be some of these other alternate Spider-Mans like Scarlet Spider there. Like you could find that book cheap, $50 say, and then like you could probably turn around if it's high grade, like sell it for $120 kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's another question to have is on that Scarlet Spider-Man. His first appearance as Ben Reilly was Amazing Spider-Man 149. So what's the better book to have? And that's something we can get into another time. But it's when they retcon people and bring them in, then we all try to figure out what's the best book to have.
Yeah, and like there's like a Spider Punk is another popular one that could be one to, if you find the dollar bin, that's a good find.
Bombastic Bag Spider-Man.
Yeah. Look for the dollar. Look in the dollar bins for these ones. Don't go spending money on these guys. But I will say, back to this ASM 31, again, just like Fantastic Four, early Spider-Man,
the first 100, yeah,
it's always gonna be in high demand and have value. Like if you were a run collector, there probably is no 2 better runs than Fantastic Four and Spider-Man 1 to 100. So,
yep, I would agree.
Anyway, so moving back on, like we were talking about Loki season 2. I thought Loki season 1 was probably the best show they've done because it actually had real stakes to it, especially when it ended up when you met Kang or the version of Kang that you met. So I'm looking forward to Kang. I like the character Loki. I like Tom Hiddleston. I think he's great in that role. And I would say of all the books we've talked about, this is the one that is on my, like, in the next 10 I would like to get. Journey into Mystery 85, first appearance of Loki. I mean, he's just a major villain. Silver Age, first appearance. These Journey into Mystery books are fantastic. Like, this ticks all the boxes. This is one for me and one I want to chase down. Maybe not in 2023, but 2024 possibly.
Yeah, I loved the show. Like you said, the stakes all ties into what was happening, what we expect to be happening cosmically, multiverse, all that. Um, Not a big fan of Thor or Loki. I just thought he was the god of
Mischief.
jokes or some mischief. And I'm like, all right, how's he such a tough guy? And he wasn't my favorite character to be the main bad for Avengers first movie, but he's on the cover
bad
of
guy
Avengers
of
One.
Avengers 1.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, that makes sense because buying Avengers 1 years ago was never a thought in my head. So I'm like, oh, they stay to the storyline. That's cool. And I like Tom Hiddleston. He plays Loki well, and I'm glad they're going to keep him on. I thought Josh Brolin did a great job with Thanos, but he may come back in some regard, but Loki's going to be pretty prevalent. So this is a great book to have just because he didn't kill him off and make him a good guy. You never know where you're coming with Loki.
Yeah. Next one up, there's no books of interest, I would say, but it's the Marvels movie, which is going to have the Kamala Khan Miss Marvel, the Carol Danvers Miss Marvel, and I think even the Monica Rambeau version. And so, like, there are numbers of books that are like first appearances and covers, and I don't know which is which. Not a character I collect. I'll be down to see the movie though, right? Like I said, I like the show. I like the character of Captain Marvel. That was in the original movies of the MCU movies. So I'm in to see it. Looking forward to it. But other than that, I don't have much else to say on that one.
Me neither. I'm looking forward to it. I guess it's going to tie in for the end of Miss Marvel, or is that what's called Miss Marvel, the show, and how they switched out Kamala Khan and Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
So
what I'm looking forward to, because I would say like Captain Marvel is played by Alison Brie, who's a fairly prominent actress, right? Can't imagine she's going to be in MCU movies for the next 10, 15 years, right? But in the comics, Rogue gets her powers by absorbing them from Captain Marvel. I think everybody is waiting and expecting for that to happen in the MCU at some point. Maybe not in this movie, but it has got to be coming, and that is something I think everyone is looking forward to.
Yep, I forgot about that. Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. That's set for July 28th. And then next after that, again, they have a late 2023 Ironheart. Again, we talked about that with the Black Panther movie. I like the character, seemed cool. Again, another modern character I don't collect. I know this is a book. This is her first full appearance. It does, I think, goes for around $200, $250 in 9.8 now. So it's still pretty attainable if you want it. What I find weird with these modern characters is like you have first came and first appearance like you do in other things, but then you have like these random ones like this is her first cover as Ironheart. And then there's like, which is like Invincible Iron Man, the next volume, #1 is her first cover. But then the first Ironheart in actual story isn't until #3, right? And you see this with the Red Hulk, right? The Hulk one where he's on the cover. It's like, this is considered the first appearance of Red Hulk. But then he's not in the comic. He's just on the cover. So like, it's a thing they do with modern comics. And I find it very odd, but whatever. Again, I'm not a modern collector, so this is not what I'm going after. However, you find it cheap, pick it up, right? You can turn it probably pretty good.
Yeah, they seem when I'm hunting for books, I look for these type of ones that are modern because I think they're more attainable in these recent short boxes. Because where I'm going, a lot of these people are these stores are former collectors or former sellers, resellers of books, so they have just long boxes, just scattered. And this might be in there, but it's not really one they looked at. I don't know the difference. Again, you can train your eye, but it's much easier to train my eye on a Silver Age or Bronze Age than these moderns for me.
Yeah. Moving on, the next would be also late 2023's X-Men 97, which is the animated series. Am I excited? Hell yeah. Like, I mean, the X-Men animated show was my childhood. That was probably my biggest connection to Marvel growing up. That and the Spider-Man cartoon. So I'm pumped. I mean, is it going to be awesome? Who knows? But like, it's just going to be fun to watch. One book I know that people have like, it got hot, but again, it's still pretty cheap and not one I would worry about is this X-Men 200, just because in a clip they showed at Comic-Con, Magneto's wearing that outfit, and he's in this one. He goes on trial, but then he becomes the leader of the X-Men, which he's going to be leading the X-Men in the cartoon. So this book was spec'd on. Again, you can still get this book for $10. Maybe you can turn around and sell it for $20. Not one I think you need to worry about. I mean, you find it in a dollar bin, grab it. Otherwise, but I will also say on this, we talked about this last week. Cover John Romita. That is not a good cover. Like, I mean, I hate how he draws the X-Men on these.
No, it's not my favorite cover. I found it at a flea market recently, or at the end of summer.
Especially like shortly after this, they transitioned to like Jim Lee drawing X-Men. And it's just like, you can't even compare.
No. And the other book to look at for this is X-Men Adventures 90 or
Oh yeah,
X-Men
that's right.
Adventures #1. I
Yeah,
found that too in the same box I got the Web of Spider-Man. So
yeah,
we'll see. I don't know if it'll take off, but
yeah. I get that for that one. You find it in a dollar bin, grab it. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Last one on the docket, Marvel wise, is Agatha Coven of Chaos. Honestly, could not care less. I don't. There's another one where it's like, why are they making this show? Who cares? I will say one thing that has interested me. They've now come out and said that Mephisto, Sacha Baron Cohen's going to be in 4 of the 6 or 7 episodes. So that has me intrigued a little bit, I will say, because I think Mephisto's a cool villain. I should have brought up that slide actually, because that is Silver Surfer 3, and that's
yeah.
definitely a book on my list and a great one to have. Great cover with him on it and Silver Surfer. This one, Fantastic Four 94, first appearance. Again, who cares?
Well,
Other
I
than the
think,
fact that, like, if you're a Fantastic Four, early Fantastic Four collector, like, I get it. That's why you picked this up. Otherwise, like, I could not care less personally.
and I'm thinking that in Ironheart, there's supposed to be someone in that called the Hood, and he's supposed to have a connection to Mephisto.
Oh, I think you're right on that.
So that's, I guess those two are going to tie in together. I like the actress. Can't think of her name right now. Who plays Agatha?
Catherine something, I think. Catherine
Yeah,
Vaughn.
yeah. She does a great job, and so it'll be maybe fun to watch it. But again, when they don't play the role that they're like, Jennifer Aniston can be a friend role. That's how she plays every role she's been in.
Yeah.
But this woman is funny and did well in Bad Moms, I think it was. But maybe when she's more serious, maybe it doesn't play well. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
But
and they've also cast Aubrey Plaza, who's like a big hot name actress right now too. So who knows what can happen? But if they didn't make this show, I would not honestly think second. I wouldn't think again about it. So
nope, there's a lot of things that have excitement. Going back over our list for this year, coming up, Ant-Man, Guardians are 2 big ones for me.
yeah,
The Loki season 2, but I think the rest of them, when there's some extra time, I'll watch them, and I won't be the first in line or the first one to stream it. So
yeah. I mean,
um,
I'm more on just waiting for Fantastic Four, the new Deadpool, Kang Dynasty, and that's all in 2024, 2025. So not much moves the needle for me in 2023, but obviously I'll be checking out a lot of these.
I think the Guardians and this Across the Spider-Verse, and I forgot about that one, and
oh
Ant-Man
yeah,
could move the needle.
yeah,
But
I agree. They'll move the needle, but otherwise, like, that's a small bit of the slate, I would
yeah,
say.
because we're looking forward to Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty and all that.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Real quick, as we're just past the hour here, let's just finish up real quick. I don't know what is going to happen with James Gunn. I'm assuming there's nothing in 2023 on DC side because it's going to take some time to plan and cast and produce.
I think Blue Beetle's coming out.
No
I saw
idea
the slate.
what that is. So
Blue Beetle is another spec book that you can grab. There's different versions of him, different names, like 3 throughout the life of Blue Beetle, going back to the 40s. One again in the 60s, and then a recent one in 2005, I believe. They're going to use the Latin version. His name is Reyes, I believe. I may be wrong, so no one quote me on that, but that's the one they're supposed to bring to the big screen. He's definitely one that will have staying power for James Gunn. He's kind of an awkward, not the guy, but just that Blue Beetle is out there as a concept, and James Gunn can really do well with that. So that's the only one I know of off the top. I think maybe Aquaman comes out and the Flash movie are all out this year.
okay.
But
those aren't James Gunn related.
They're not James Gunn related, but they're gonna, Aquaman is going to be a big draw, but it has no bearing on the James Gunn universe. The Flash movie could, depending on how they reshot some of that movie to maybe bring in, the multiverse into DC, because I think Ben Affleck will be in it, Michael Keaton, Ezra Miller, of course, is the Flash. Are they going to keep using him or change him out for James Gunn? There's a lot they could do in that movie to sort of move James Gunn's universe forward. So that's one I would look forward to seeing if that is going to come out this year, to really see where he's going to go with it. And Blue Beetle, I think, is another one I would see, just a Peacemaker maybe type movie.
Real quick to finish, let's do a quick bonus. Any other movies, shows, non-comic book related you're excited for in 2023?
None that I can think of off the top of my head. What do you got?
So I'm looking forward to Oppenheimer. I think Christopher Nolan's the best filmmaker out there, so I'll definitely see that. I'm a big fan of the show Succession, so the next season comes out in the spring. And it's not in 2023, but I'm still gonna get pumped because I love the House of the Dragon show, and so season 2 is supposed to come in sometime in early 2024. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. Oh, and I will add Severance season 2 is another great show on Apple TV.
Yeah, well, I just got Apple TV, so I'm going to watch Ted Lasso. I heard that's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to finish House of Dragon. I'm going to try to finish Daredevil season 2 and 3. So I have a lot of catching up to do on movies I didn't get a chance to watch or shows. So that might be what I do in 2023 is catch up.
There you go. I think that's all we got for today, guys. Just past the hour here for us, so that's kind of right where we want to cut it off.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Another give us your comments, find us on the socials at 1977 Nerd Alert.
Yeah, give us a like, subscribe, reach out to us if you want to talk more about movies. We're here every day. We love to talk this kind of stuff, as we always say. So feel free to talk about any of it with us.
All right. Well, have a great rest of your week. Peace.
Yep. Happy 2023.